The QB dominoes in the transfer portal are falling fast, and it looks like Ohio State could control the next major domino. We're going to talk Ohio State transfer portal targets in this video. I got Alex Gleitman from Letterman Row, so let's get to it. But first, Ohio State fans, do me a favor. Hit subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel. We cover high school recruiting. We cover the transfer portal, all things recruiting. Hit subscribe for me, please. All right. Let's bring on Alex Gleitman of Letterman Row. Now, Alex, I said we saw DJU come off the board yesterday. Cam Ward, KJ Jefferson. Now, there's buzz building around QB Will Howard, who's leaving Kansas State and has been tied to Ohio State. What are your sources saying here?
Yeah, I feel good about where Ohio State stands with Will Howard right now. Sources have indicated that it's very likely that Ohio State is going to end up signing him and that he will be brought in this winter to compete with who's ever left on the roster at that point for the QB1 position at Ohio State. Yeah. I don't think, obviously, it's a given that if they get Will Howard, he's the starter, although I think odds would certainly favor that. I don't think he's coming whether it's Ohio State, USC, or anywhere to sit the bench, but he's still going to have to beat out Devin Brown, Lincoln Keenholz, Aaron Noland, anyone else. But yeah, sources have indicated very strongly that they feel Ohio State is going to land Will Howard.
All right. Now, you said they want to get him in and compete in the spring, so that means he's going to have to enroll in January. What's the timetable like for him to make this decision?
Yeah, I was told when someone told me that this was probably going to happen that nothing would probably be announced until after the winter portal window closes for Ohio State, and I believe that is end of day January 3rd, given when they played in the bowl game. So I wouldn't expect any announcements till earliest January 4th. I've been told that there possibly could be a visit before things are officially finalized between the two parties. But right now, I would say January 4th is when I'm really starting to watch when this news potentially could be announced.
Is there another threat out there for Will Howard to land somewhere else, or is this just, you got to have patience and let this process play out?
I think it's probably the latter. I mean, look, I've been told, even by one person, that this is a done deal. I've learned over the years there's not such a thing as a done deal until it is a done deal. Everything's signed, he's enrolled, all those things. Miami's obviously still looking for a quarterback, and they come in with a pretty hefty NIL package at the last minute. USC thought that they had him a few weeks back. Could they somehow, emerge? Could he pull a Cam Ward and just say, hey, you know what, I'm going to the NFL? I think all those things are potentially still on the table until he actually signs, enrolls somewhere, all that thing. But I feel good it's going to be Ohio State right now as things currently stand. And I think it's more of just Ohio State probably wanting to not scare off anyone on their current roster, at least keep them through the spring to be able to compete for this job with Will Howard potentially.
Yeah, it seems like it's trending in that direction. Now, just talking more generally speaking, Ohio State, they're going to bring in a great haul of transfer portal prospects, but they're also losing some guys. So of all the losses that have hit the portal so far, which one stung the most for Ohio State?
Yeah, it's weird because you see a lot of, and this is happening with Georgia and other programs as well. Everywhere. You're seeing a lot of volume as far as, who's going to the portal. But I don't think really many people who left were going to have a significant impact on the field, at least in 2024. Right. Obviously, Kyle McCord, and that was more of a calculated decision by Ohio State, kind of addressing that how they did. That's a significant impact because he was their QB1, and I think he would have had a good chance to be their QB1. Assuming they didn't add anyone else had he stayed going into next year, right? I think Julian Fleming, he hasn't really done a ton and lived up to the hype as a receiver, but he was an excellent blocker on the perimeter and really helped significantly with the run game. And then punter Jesse Mirko, I think, was a little bit of a surprise, at least for me. I think they have to go find a new punter. So assuming they bring in Will Howard, I think they're pretty loaded in the wide receiver room. I would say actually punter Jesse Mirko is probably the most impactful just because if you look at all the people who left, he was set to be the starter next year, and now they have to go find a punter if they're not comfortable with, the one other guy who's on their roster.
Yeah, hey, there's 85 guys on the scholarship roster, so there's going to be a lot of attrition. Yeah, you're right. We're seeing it all across the board, everywhere in the country. Ohio State, no different. What besides quarterback, because that's all we've really talked, but what are the other major positions of need that you think Ohio State will address this offseason?
Yeah, I think they're going to look in a few areas. I think a lot of it does depend on who, by January 15th, announces that they're going to the NFL draft or not. And right now we're hearing that a lot of these, juniors, third-year guys are leaning toward returning. But like if Travion Henderson goes, for example, running back becomes an extremely important position in the portal. I think even if he comes back, they might look for more of a depth guy versus a starting type of caliber player. They've already addressed tight end in the portal. They got Will Kasmerick from Ohio. And so I think, you look at the trenches now. You saw what happened against Missouri in the bowl game. That was a very, very poor showing for Justin Fry and the offensive line unit. I think they're going to have 4 of their 5 starters probably back, but I think at this point you got to look for an upgrade in the portal. And then I think along the defensive line, you're probably going to see Jack Sawyer come back. I think Tyleik Williams is going to come back. Mike Hall has announced he's going to leave. JT Tuimoloau, I've told, is on the fence. So if he comes back, you're in good shape. But I think they might still look for a defensive tackle, maybe a little bit of depth, maybe another edge rusher, just to kind of bolster that unit there. And then the last thing I'll just mention, just because they've been looking around, is safety. I think that's a position. They play 3 safeties on the field at a time. I think they feel good potentially about the guys that they have, but there's not a ton of depth there. So I think bringing in a veteran safety who knows what he's doing out there could be something to look for.
All right, well, this week, Ohio State looking to make some roster moves in the transfer portal. Will Howard, is he the next big QB domino to fall? We'll see. Alex Gleitman from Letterman Row, thanks for stopping by, talking a little Ohio State transfer portal.
Thanks, Josh. Appreciate it.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed that content, be sure to subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel. We have a new page dedicated only to recruiting. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now.